Hi everyone, welcome to my channel.
And the number one chain I'm going to show you is called the neck lock. From the sound of the chain, you see that the chain is very light. So this is called the neck lock for the neck of the slaves. They were meant to walk with this around their neck for 18 hours every day. And this is very light. You can actually feel the weight of the chain around your neck. Our forefathers were meant to walk with this for 18 hours every day. While traveling, this will be around their neck for 3 to 4 months.
It's very heavy.
Did I say heavy?
Very, very heavy.
They travel with this for 3 to 4 months on the Atlantic Ocean before they get to their final.
Can I know the weight of this?
This should be around 15-20 kilograms.
Wow. You can see what our ancestors went through. Very heavy indeed. So they have to walk by daylight.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. That's serious. Okay.
So imagine this on the neck of human being walking for 18 hours every day inside the farm. And here's a torture weapon.
Okay.
Used on slaves who refuse to walk inside the farm. For slaves who refuse to walk inside the farm, they force this into their hand, down to the wrist.
Oh.
This doesn't go in easily. You have to break the bone to force this to the wrist of the slaves. After forcing this to the wrist, they made the slave climb a platform. Screw this up to a tall tree and remove the platform. So the slave will be suspended on the tree, dangling from morning till night. In the course of doing this, most of them die.
Wow.
Imagine having these around your hand.
Okay, to enter your...
So they'll have to break the bone to force this to the wrist, then make the slave climb a platform. The master as well climb and screw this up to a tall tree, remove the platform, and so the slave will be suspended on the tree, dangling from morning. Just one hand will be hanged on the tree from morning to night. So the whole weight of the body will rest on the hand. And this is used on the heads of the small children. Babies were usually not allowed to move closer to their parents while working on the farm.
Wow.
So for the children not to disturb their parents while working, they group them to one side of the farm, chain their wrists together, make them sit down under a tree, far away from where their parents are working. So children don't have access to their parents while working on the farm. And this is called the mouth clip.
So can you demonstrate how this one is handled?
This?
Very well. Yeah.
Okay, they group the babies together like this and chain their hands like 3 of them together with this.
3 of the babies?
Yes, babies. Then make them sit down under a tree far away from where their parents are working. So the children will not be able to live where they make them sit down because their hand has been tied together. So this is called the mouth clip for the mouth of the slaves. Slaves were usually not allowed to talk to one another while working on the farm because the white men are afraid that when these people communicate to one another, they can revolt. So for them not to communicate or eat while working on the farm, they usually pierce their mouth with hot iron, the lower and the upper lips. In the morning while going to the farm, these will have to go in first to their mouth, then they padlock it like this.
Okay, demonstrate next caption. This is what our ancestors went through in the hands of
the white men. So after fixing this, they put padlock like this for them not to talk or eat while working on the farm. And this is called the branding iron. These I'm holding perform 3 functions. The number 1 function is to write on the body of the slaves. Your name, sir?
My name is Kolade.
Kolade, if you have come to Badagry to buy slaves in those days, for you to be able to differentiate your slaves from my slaves, you will need to write Kolade on the body of all your slaves.
Wow.
If I have slaves, I'm going to write somewhere on the... Yes, they put this in fire. When this is red hot, they use it to write name on the body of this. And no wonder why in Yoruba land, we have family that bears name that doesn't sound like a Yoruba name. If you tell me you are Kolade, there's no doubt, I know that you are from the Yoruba race. But if you tell me your name is Smith, from which part of the country are you from? Are you from the east or the northern part of the country? So we have some name that doesn't sound like a Yoruba name in Nigeria. They reside in Lagos or Abeokuta. The white people usually put this in fire. When this is red hot, the now is to write the name of the owner of the slaves on the body of the slaves. The families that returned back after the abolition of slave trade were the family bearing such name in Lagos today. Here name like Smith, Cole, Kokal, that they don't sound like a Nigerian name, but they are Nigerians. So this is what they use in writing name on their body. The second function of this is to pierce the mouth of the slaves, for them to be able to padlock their mouth. While the last function of this is to pierce the foot of any slave who tried to run away being captured. For slave who tried to run away being captured, they put this in fire. When this is red hot, they now put the leg on a fallen tree and eat this into the foot of the slave to pierce the leg or break the bone inside the leg. If you have watched a film called The Root, you understand what I'm talking about better. And this is called the ankle lock for the leg of two slaves. Ankle lock. Lock. For the leg of two slaves. For slave not to move faster, so as not to run away, two of them will have to share this around their ankle. And they will have to walk with this. This padlock at the back. Same. One leg. Okay?
Yes,
okay? Like this. So imagine this on the leg of two human beings. They will not be able to run away with these around their ankle. And that's why we call this ankle lock for the leg of two human beings at a time. This was the money we spent in Africa in those days, cowries. But the white man doesn't recognize this as money. And that led to the introduction of trade by barter. Items like gunpowder, dry gin, cotton, iron mirror, tobacco were used in exchange of slaves. Here is a bottle of dry gin for exchange of 10 human beings during the period of slave trade. Our forefathers drink this, throw the bottle away. But for you to have this, then you will need 10 human beings. But we have our local gin, then we have our palm wine. The white people doesn't. Our people has been brainwashed that whatever they bring from their hand is better than what we have in the country. So mirror was in exchange of 10 human beings, and umbrella for 40 human beings. Here is a cannon gun in exchange of 40 human beings. The big size of this for 100.
Freeze for 100. Is the light still okay? Is it bright? Yes. Oh, normal. Yes. Okay, please continue.
So the big size of this was in exchange of 100 human beings. And over there is a slave drinking water bowl.
What about the rest of the irons?
No, they are still the neck lock. They are connected to one another.
Okay.
The neck lock. So here's a slave drinking water bowl. 40 to 50 slaves are meant to drink water from this pot at a time.
Wow.
And they drink water from the pot with their hand being tied to the back.
So this is the original pot?
Original pot. They will have to drink with their hand being tied to the back. They bend down to lip water like dog. In the course of living, most times they push one another. And so they get caught by the edge of the pot.
Wow.
The blood drips into the water. They still have to drink the water like that because they have access to food and water once in a day. Wow. And behind you is a picture of the spirit at a nation well at the point of no return. Slaves were forced to drink from this well.
We'll get to the well.
Yeah.
Okay.
They forced them to drink from this well and they forced them to make this recitation. The recitation goes thus: I'm leaving this land, my spirit lives with me. I shall not come back now. My shackle did not break. It is the shackles that hold the ship down. My ancestors bear me witness. I shall not return. This land shall depart. My soul do not revolt. My spirit goes along with me. I depart to the land unknown. I shall not return. After making this recitation,
Because they make them to recite this.
yes. Right? After making the recitation, they become less aggressive.
Okay.
Attenuation well.
Attenuation well. The slaves were forced to drink a sacred well, which still exists here. It still exists. The well believed to make them less aggressive and to lose their memories. It is located at Berefu Sea Beach across the lagoon, directly opposite the slave port. Okay. So they made them to recite this, right?
So the well was the reason why Nigeria was the largest supplier of slaves during the period of slave trade.
Wow.
And as a result of this well, we have some of our Yoruba culture in diaspora. When you travel to a country like Brazil, you see some of our culture. Eshu, Shango, Egungun that we worship in Yoruba land. They have been worshipped in Brazil because our forefathers went with their God. They could not return back because of the well they took at the point of no return. Another reason Yoruba is their second official language in Brazil. The same Yoruba we speak in Nigeria. How come Yoruba man in Brazil? Those people that left could not return back to Africa. You are welcome to Badagry.